Where you at? You in Arizona?
No, man, I'm East Coast or Eastern Standard Time Zone, man. You and I in the same time zone. Finally, I'm in Cincinnati with family.
Oh, you're there with your piece. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know
because
that.
I spent a few days down in Lexington with that business I just bought,
Uh-huh.
and we were down there crushing on some things. And so I come up. It's cool because my nephew lives here, my fam, so I get to come hang with them. So I'm having a blast.
Oh, that is so cool, man. What in
Yeah.
the world? Oh, you had a car accident? Oh, this song.
Oh yeah. So 4 years ago yesterday, my wife was in a head-on collision, and and that was
God.
a man. I'll tell you that woke me up. You start thinking about your life like it's a very fragile thing.
It is fragile, man. And it ain't promised, right?
It ain't promised, man. I remember thinking that after my wife called me up, she said I'd been in a car accident, and her voice was current, she couldn't hardly speak. And when I drove up to the scene and saw that, of course, you're thinking everything the worst, and so it was. I'm grateful to be alive, brother. Grateful to be alive. Let's just put it that way.
It's weird. My wife is in a car accident too, man. And when you get the call, you think about it your whole. Well, I don't know if you do, but I had thought about it all my marriage. I'm like, I wonder if all this arguing and stuff, we don't get along, but it ain't nothing like that's gonna really be life changing. But then it
No,
really does happen, and you're like, okay, this
yeah,
is real.
it really doesn't matter which way the toilet paper goes out, over or under. It doesn't
Oh,
matter at all. Nobody's gonna remember. I thought you said you're gonna be here at 5:30 and it's 5:41. Like that stuff is not going to matter. It's not.
D- toilet seat,
Yeah.
dishes, cold chicken,
I thought
big piece of chicken.
why did you put the socks in the hamper? Like that's not gonna be the thing, man.
It really puts. I mean, it's like your world just goes in perspective so fast. It like
It
can take
does.
you.
Like boom.
That's real.
Yeah, man, you get snapped out of. And it also not just in relationships, but it's like in your life, the little things we worry about, just the stupid little stuff, like, oh, whatever. And it's just like,
Yeah.
man, that stuff just doesn't matter.
What up, roundup homies? Vincent said he's glad. She's glad she's okay. That's
Vincent.
right.
Yes,
What up,
thank you,
Vince?
Vincent.
One of our newest inner circle members, man. And the dude is a truck. What does truck mean? I don't even know. What does that mean?
Yeah, Vincent's a beast, man. It's great he was on our his first coaching call last night, just crushing it,
Good for
getting in
you,
there.
Vince. So
Oh,
roundup tonight. I am Chris Haskins. It's so weird. I say that I am Chris Haskins. Like I get to say, like I. It's an honor to be just not only just to be yourself. I enjoy just being myself. Like Mike, that's why I message you. You don't just be yourself, dude. If you're
yeah.
not, if you do this, do that. It's so isn't it easier?
It is. It is. Yeah, dude. I mean, for me, those of you that have maybe seen me around, I mean, I have an extensive amount of energy, and I can run you ragged with my energy. But I've learned over the years that's been also my greatest skill, and so I learned to leverage it and just be that, man.
Mike,
It's probably pushed some people away, but it's never pushed the right people away.
man, I have a saying, man. What your biggest gift can be your greatest downfall. So it's like
Absolutely,
you have to
100%. It is. I think it not only can be, it always is. I've
some
never seen anybody where their greatest skill wasn't their greatest weakness. Their greatest. They just needed to make sure they watched that because absolutely.
I think being married to like the opposite. Like I have my wife completely. I had my therapy today. She's like, Chris, can you be how we can, I need you to step back and imagine being married to you. We won of all that. I'm like, you know what, dude? I need to really, really think about this.
Oh man, sometimes I think about my wife. I'm like, what would it be like to be? Yeah, if I had to think about what it'd be like to be with me, that poor woman.
You would like. I wouldn't want to marry.
Oh man.
But
Oh
anyway,
man.
so round up tonight. Mike and I talk all the time, right? We run a mastermind and all that stuff, but we're not here to necessarily talk about that tonight. But I got him on the phone the other day. He's like, hold on, I just fired this property management company. I got to deal with this judgment. I don't know if it's whatever, some type of lien or something calls me up, right? So that's how it is when you hang out with rich people that are doing business, doing things, right? You get to call them on the phone. So I call Mike to get him. He called me to get access. It's called access.
Yep.
So he talks about this property management company. And I'm like, hold on, Mike. You the property management multifamily master. What's the deal? So my ears, my spidey senses, whatever. I'm like, roundup. You got to know what's going on because I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the biggest myths is that people, when they've made it, that we don't still have to fire property management companies. We don't have bank accounts that sometimes the rents go low and you got to put some money into your own property. Like I think sometimes the perception of real estate investors is that we don't have that stuff. That was in our past. It's the journey of real estate.
It's a
Firing
journey.
property managers, having a property that doesn't bring in as much rent as you thought, and then it's low and then high and low, and that's real estate. And so I think it's really important for everybody to see this tonight that the multifamily guy has just as many property management issues. Now I'm better at choosing them, but I don't always choose right, even in this scenario, right? And the scenario I'm gonna talk tonight. So take heart as you get started. Maybe you're getting started, maybe you've done 2-3 deals, maybe you've just done one, but take heart that even no matter how far you go, these little trip ups are still going to happen. They are.
They're gonna happen.
And this isn't little. I mean, this is a pretty good size trip up. I'm a big mistake I made.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna redo it.
so you all just take some safety in the fact that it's okay to mess up and you're gonna.
It's okay. I want to be honest with y'all. My bank account this month was been in negative. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth because money is a currency. It comes in and out, and I'm spending an enormous amount of money on my new construction, right? So things just pop up, but I'm like, damn, I'm Chris. I got negative.
Yeah. Like that can't be right. Run those numbers again.
The bank's calling me like, what, Chris, is this you? I'm like, you know what, dude? I got a big project. This things happen.
Yeah.
No one's exempt. It's
Exactly.
no Trump.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. And that's where I think that I want you to aspire to grow, but also just know that we're dealing with this shit too sometimes. It just happens. We just do.
Yep.
It's not that we play. It's not that I mean you make less mistakes, I think, over time, but you don't.
It just happens.
Absolutely.
Things happen, y'all. So tonight, he's gonna tell us a story. I'm gonna ask him some questions, and I want to just make sure you guys are prepared. My Black Friday block party. I'm trying to get Mike on here too with his multifamily stuff next week if I can. He's traveling. Starts Friday. We got a guy talking about how to do wholesaling without even having to bind the deals, right? Co-wholesaling, how to work with other wholesalers. He's got a whole course. It's crazy. He's gonna give us a stupid deal. It's truly amazing. So we start that Friday at 5:00. I look forward to bringing somebody every day. Airbnb got a guest coming. Gonna do a full course on that. Instagram. I thought about Twyla Mike in our group. I got a guy. He's got 110,000 followers on Instagram.
Boom.
He's going to do a whole training showing us how to do that because that is going to be a cornerstone, a keystone to your success in the real estate business. Would you say, Mike?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I'm still such a baby in the social media world that I mean, but the answer is 100% yes. You have to. So at this point, it's either get on the train or get left at the station. At this point,
you're done.
Yeah,
you are done, y'all. If you don't have the social media, and you don't got to be a master, you just gotta do it.
Got to have a presence. That's all. You got to have a presence. Yeah,
just do it. And they
Yeah,
got to
you
be
gotta have a
perfect. Then have to look shiny object. Just try it. So Henry's gonna come on. The guy is a monster. I mean, a monster. He's got 80 doors, and I'm like, a real estate guy that does Instagram. Man, that's crazy. Come on over. It's really really cool to meet him.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
So give us a backstory on this building first,
Yeah.
Mike.
So if you don't know anything about me, I do a lot of multifamily properties, but I do them where I don't live. I don't own any rental properties where I live. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I don't own any of them. They're all over the country. But this story doesn't have to do with me not living there. It has to do with me not vetting the right property manager. So I asked a lot of questions, and it wasn't even that I hired the wrong property manager. It's that I fired them too late. So I waited too long. And what that did was, so I started seeing a couple things where this bill was a little high this month. And I'm like, well, they do a good job. They talk to me, whatever. And there was a change in management of the company. And when that change happened, that company started to, in a property management company, you have to realize a property manager has a very hard job. They have two customers. They have you as the customer and the tenant as the customer.
You being, what is you?
You being the owner of the property. And then they have tenants as customers. And because they're marketing to tenants so that they can actually get your property, and marketing to owners to actually grow their business. But then they have this weird thing inside of the company that for them to they grow their business off of their owners. So they grow their business on the backs of their owners. So you have to find a property manager that walks the line really well and says, my main job is to make my owners money. And if I make my owners money, then I'm going to make money, versus my main job is to explode my business. And I want them to grow their business. As an owner, I want them to grow their business. But my point in saying that is, think about a property manager that says, I can charge $35 an hour or $45 an hour for maintenance. If I'm going to send out a maintenance guy, $45 an hour, I make more, but my owners make less. So a property manager has to walk that line. So you have to just understand the position they're in. Now come to here. I saw a couple things happen, and I got my report one month, and we were talking about negative, Chris. We were negative. It's a 23 unit portfolio.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about the building first. How long have you owned it? Tell me about the
So it's a conglomeration of properties. It's some single family homes, 5 duplexes. So it's a 23 properties together they manage.
23 properties together in the same vicinity?
Same area. Yep. Same town.
Okay,
yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
And so I get a report every month, and it tells me how much income, how many expenses. Well, I noticed one month it was negative 2,000. I'm like, that's weird. We didn't make any money. I mean, it's like,
when was this? Give me a time frame.
Yeah, so this was back about a year ago.
This
Yeah.
is not recent.
What's that?
I'm thinking you're like 2 months ago, you got -2.
No. This was a year ago. It was negative 2,000.
Okay.
And the next month, it grew a little bit. And I don't mean positive. I mean, like, it went more negative. And I'm like,
oh.
Then the next month a little more. So I'm like, so I paused.
Okay.
And I said, hey, why do we keep going negative? They're like, oh, we had a couple turnovers. Turnovers mean when a tenant moves out, they have to fix up the unit for a new tenant to come in. That usually can cost anywhere from, heck, $500 to $10,000. I mean, it can cost.
What was your occupancy though, Mike? Did you not know the occupancy? Right?
So yeah, I do the occupancy, but they said, we had somebody move out. Okay, we're fixing up the unit. Well, here's the problem. When I'm not hearing, when I wasn't. This is a Fritz mistake. This is not a them mistake. I wasn't hawking like, how well are they doing with expenses? Are they keeping within a budget? Are they, and because let me tell you, why do we hire property managers? To have freedom, right? I hire a property manager so I don't have to collect rent every month, and they can do that, and I can worry about continuing to train and help people and go get more properties.
Yep.
But let me tell you something, and Chris, I don't know if you ever made this mistake. That doesn't mean that you can take your hands off the wheel. And I took my hands off the wheel.
I'm glad you're willing to admit that,
off the wheel, that negative 2,000, I fired them, and on the way out was 60,000.
So it went from 2 to what?
So it went from 2,000, then it was like 3,000 the next month. So it wasn't too far the next month, and the next month, I think it was even the same the next month. So 4 months in, we're only about $3,000. Well, then it went from like 3 to like 8. I'm like, Then I had a phone call. Hey, why are we at 8? Oh, we just got some unit turnovers. That was the big thing. So finally, I got on a plane and I flew there at about $12,000 or $13,000 negative, because I'm like, something jiving here. And as I walked,
it went up to 13. That's 1 month.
Well, it's 13,000 negative, but it had been accumulating over about 4, 5, 6 months.
Okay, so that's a total. Okay, that's
a
where
total.
We're at now. Okay, all right. I'm just trying to get the
that's a total
timeline.
And fast forward to now, we're at 60. But when I flew there, I went into these homes, and I'm like, first of all, the 2 units I went into were a disaster. So a disaster.
Please set us up. Help us understand. You're leaving your house. You're flying from Arizona to.
I'm flying Arizona to South. This is in South Bend, Indiana.
You're getting off the plane, getting in an Uber, whatever, showing up. Because I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'm hopping in a car. I'm just driving down the street.
Yeah. So I get in a plane. You have to rent a car. I rent a car. I go to their office, and then I say,
okay, you go to the office first, talking.
Yep. I say, let's go see these units. They're like, okay. So we go.
They know what's going on, no doubt. They have to know.
Oh yeah. They know. I know at this point that we're in hot water. And then I go into these units, and these units haven't been turned yet. I walked in, and you know how, Chris, you do this long enough, you walk in and you're like, there's $10,000 worth of work here.
Yeah, easy, quick. I mean, that's.
You know what I mean? You just look around, you're like, this is not a $3,000 cleanup, my friends. This is a big deal. I walked in and I'm like, this is 10 to 15 grand, depending on how quick we want to be. Then I went into the second one and it was the same.
Oh my Lord.
And so I'm like, this is not happening to me right now. This is just not happening.
Did the person showing you know, or were they a person like just a $10 hour person? Like, I'm just showing.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. They started. This is when the management started to distance themselves from me a little bit, where my emails started getting replied to by other people, and that's your first key when the person you're talking to, somebody else starts responding. That's a problem. That's a really good key that something's going on.
When did they change hands, Mike? From when
so they changed hands about right now. Like right now, when I drove there, just a week later was when the management team changed hands. And so then the management team changes hands. So I want you to see all you see this. So I know I think I was about, and I'm trying to recall, I think it was either 12 or 13,000. I'm in the hole now. And I'm looking at 2 units that are anywhere from 20 to 30 more.
Oh yeah. So you're already at 50.
Oh yeah, I'm already at 50 just looking around. I'm like, oh, it's 50. I'm thinking 40 to 50 sitting right here without anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I was right, because that's what it was to clean. I mean, these units were horrendous.
Did you take pictures? Please tell me. You got to document this stuff.
Dude, I was so in shock. The last thing I was thinking about was putting this stuff on social media. I should have documented it, but
let me tell you, Mike, just for an IG thing, the stuff that you're completely embarrassed about, that's the stuff that we need to see to train us.
Chris is telling me this all the time, by the way, y'all. So he's telling me this all the time, and he's right. I was not thinking documentation. I was thinking strangulation. That's what I wanted to do to that management company. That's what I wanted to do to that company right there. So I could tell it was going to fix up, and it did. So they jacked up. It went to 50. It went to just over 50,000 after they fixed up those 2 units. And
well, hold up. You fast forwarding. You're getting back in your car. What is the conversation with these people?
Oh yeah. So I called property man, and she's like, we're trying to get it under wraps. And of course they always blame it on employees. Well, we had our maintenance guy was supposed to be looking at this stuff. We didn't know it was getting this bad. The checks were showing up, but then they just moved out without telling us. So it took us a month and a half to even realize nobody was living there. And it was that kind of storyline, which, by the way, if you have a lot of units and you have a property manager, if they don't have their hand on the pulse of the communities, that can happen. A tenant can move out and they don't even know it.
Okay. All right.
Because think about this. Let's say they paid September 1st and they move out October 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 10th. Finally, they put a note on their door, 15, 16. They're calling them. It could be 30 days. It could be even more before they even know that they moved out.
That's right, because they're thinking about court proceedings. They're not.
They're thinking about court stuff. They're not even thinking that the unit's empty. So sometimes that can happen.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah, that can happen. So now we're at about 51, 52, and now this is when the changeover is in full swing after these renovations. And I'm looking at the bills, and we were going from $45, $50 an hour to like $100, $150 an hour for just trips to do stuff at the house. So I'm looking at my bills going, one of the reasons that these numbers are high, now not the renovations, I knew that was, but one of the reasons it started to go from 51 to 54, 56, 60 now, I'm like, it's because I'm getting charged crazy amounts of money. So for me, I'm like, okay, as a leader now I have to swap into, and Chris, I'm sure you do this as well, but I had to swap into leadership mode. I'm not a property owner. I know I have to lead a team. I have to fire a team and I have to find a new team. I have to swap into leadership mode and say, this is done. So I fired them. I said, you're done.
Hold on. I got to slow you down. You're looking at numbers, $40, $50 an hour, $60 to $100 an hour. First of all, what are you thinking, and who are you talking to?
First, I'm not talking to anybody yet. I'm just looking at the report, and I'm looking at this going, this can't. You know what? I got to tell you this though. So one of the things that tipped me off to this massive spike, I forgot about this, was the numbers was off. It was 4 hours at $50, $500, or four hours at $50 an hour. $500. And I'm like, that math don't work,
I
ladies and
love that
gentlemen.
math. I need to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, I wish I could do that with my tenants. I wish I could
Your
do that with
number's
my tenants.
800. I'll take 1100.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, they I remember I looked at them like, that don't work. So I called them up
What
and they're
the?
like, oh no, there's a clear. Let us do some moving. And dude, this actually, I just want y'all to know, by the way, I am not enjoying this conversation. Just so y'all know, this is not fun for me right now. Chris asked me to come on and talk about this, but
You
I
got to
want
do
y'all,
it for the
really,
community,
the
though.
reason I want you to do this, I just want y'all to see you can, you just have to understand no matter where you go to in real estate, you've got these issues. My mentor, who has 5,000 units, had to fire a property management company that was stealing thousands. So it happens. It just happens. And so you just gotta lead through it.
Let me reintroduce you, Mike, for the Round Up homies. We got 45 people. Round Up, what
What's up?
up? Listen, man, I'm so happy to be alive and to be on here. And thank God we have breath in our lungs and we're able to sight. I'm just so grateful for you and Mike and all my Round Up community. Tonight, we're hanging out with Mike Fritz. He just had to fire a property management company for one of his multifamily deals, right? So I wanted him to share. When he first told me, he called me the other day. I'm like, Mike, I didn't say it at that time. I was answering some questions with him, but I thought later, I'm like, man, this would be a phenomenal chance to share with people that don't use property managers or are thinking about hiring one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
So
You looked at the paper. You
I
saw
looked at the
4
paper.
times
I
5 is
noticed that the
500.
numbers were off. I called them up. Oh yeah, that's an error in our system, and they blame it on the system. Again, you understand these property managers, when they are imploding, they're blaming on employees, their systems. It's always everybody else, right? So I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if it's your system, whatever. I lean on you guys to get these numbers right. Get the numbers right.
You can't screaming and cursing is not going to necessarily help right now, is it? I mean,
No. Part of that is, dude, I've because of my energy, I've gone down that road. It just never gets anything done. So
yeah.
part of it's just,
But
you
you're
just gotta
inside.
do
You're
it.
like, what?
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Okay,
But
okay.
on the outside, I have to be
Diplomatic,
but live it enough to know that they know I'm onto them and they need to fix this, right? And so I need them to know that this is a big enough. I don't want to be so nonchalant that they think that I'm what. He's not upset. It's cool. I need to let them know that this is a dire need. So I call them back, and that's what made me feel like a lot of these charges were scammy. Now, whether they were intentionally scammy or not, I'll never know. I don't know their motives. And quite frankly, I wasn't there. They said they painted a wall. I can go and say, yeah, it looks like it was painted, but I mean, I don't know how much material was used. It's really tough to know. That's why hiring a management company that's really trustworthy is really important to do. And I'll share with you a couple tips on how to do that at the end. Of course, after I tell you the story, you're probably like, I don't think I want to learn this from you. But
do that at the end when we get the story out.
Yeah. So then I called and I said, I have 50 units with this property manager, and I took half of them, not just under half, 17 of those units, and that I took that are broken in between 2 apartment buildings. And I hired a new property manager, and we did what's called a hostile takeover. A hostile takeover in the property management world is when you have a new company come in, and this isn't breaking contract, come in, notify the tenants that there's a new management company in play, and they need to start paying a new management company. And so we flipped it to a new management company to save stop the bleeding.
So if you leave them, Mike, you're no doubt you're still under contract with them. I mean, is
Yeah,
that
but wait, so a lot of these companies that you sign, you give them 30 days notice, but even then, if the contract is expired, these management companies are awful at getting their contracts. We weren't actually under contract.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so it was all legal and everything. It's just I'm trying to preserve money at this point so they don't steal my rent money. And then so they still had 23 units, and now we're getting ready to do that with the next batch with this property management company.
So you're there. I'm just trying to picture you on boots on the ground, dude. You find everything. You ask them what's up. We'll get back to you.
Yeah. So at that point, I go in and I meet with the team. And at that point, the owner of the company is there. And
okay.
yeah, they were there. They were part of the conversation. very apologetic. We're sorry. We really let this get away from us. We thought that, you see in the reports, we thought you were informed. And of course I was informed. That didn't mean I was happy about it. And I wanted it to keep going this way.
Losing money.
And so I met with the team. And so my biggest point in that meeting is, where are we going to go from here? Where are we going to go from here? So we're decreasing in revenue. Can't keep doing this. That's a given. Where do we go from here? So, and they're like, well, we got to get these 2 turned over, and we're going to keep pushing rents. And they've done that on some of them. And those 2 units we did get flipped over. But now we're to a point where the units are not negative. They're moving in the right direction. But we still have this $60,000 hurdle to get over. Right.
No, hold on, Mike. So this, I'm just picturing, this is over time. You've left now. You're gone.
I'm gone. I'm gone.
All right. So what the work that they said they did that get done?
Yeah, from what we can see,
that's right.
Most of the work got done, but from what we were being charged, we were not notified that massive price increases were coming, and they tripled their maintenance.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Okay,
because that was part of the glitch. So remember I told you they charged me 4 hours at $50 an hour? That was $500.
Yeah.
The glitch wasn't what they charged us. The glitch was the hourly rate. They jacked up the hourly rate by like 3 times and didn't tell us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't even that the end number was wrong. It's that the communication was terrible. So you have to think from an owner. Like, I'm an owner and I've got all these properties, and they're not earning. They're costing me money. They're taking from me every month.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Yeah, no doubt.
So when I left that meeting, we had a clear path forward. But as I left that meeting, my gut, listen to your gut, by the way, just listen to your gut. My gut said, you got to go.
Never lies.
You got to get out and you got to run. Even if it costs you $60,000, you got to get out and you got to go.
At least you can stop it.
At least you can stop the bleeding. That's exactly. My wife actually said that. She said, it costs us $60,000, but it's not costing us 70 yet. Meaning, it's not costing us 80 yet.
It's over.
It's because you can stop it and move on and just learn from it. It's just an expensive learning lesson, and you move on.
That's the key to being an entrepreneur. You got to know when to say, I surrender, man. I think that just comes with being experienced.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you, it was hard though, because I felt like by walking away, I'm guaranteeing that this $60,000 is going to, need to be paid and haunt me. And it's one of those things where you just don't want to admit, like, man, my property just did not perform here. And again, the properties were great. They just weren't managed well.
Wow.
And so now we're in a point where they still are managing 23 units, and now they are leaning. So our let's call it agreement was that the reason I kept my 23 units with them is because now those are making money, is that those would pay off that $60,000. That was our last state agreement. We talked a couple weeks ago. Then, which was, everybody was good. Everybody agreed. And then they leaned one of my property. Well, one of my properties, at least that I know.
They know where they all are.
They know where they all are. Of course, they've been managing them. And so they can lean them all. And so anyway, so now that's what I called Chris about. 'Cause I'm like, hey man, I've never actually had anybody lean one of my properties before, like, ever. And it isn't even that we're not going to pay them. We're letting the properties pay them, because my whole thing is, you need to self-fund this. Go earn your money that you cost us.
That's a good point.
You created this. Earn your money and pay it. I won't take any money out of these properties. They'll go to paying you, but go earn your money, right?
That's ironic that this happened, because we had this identical thing pop up in our inner circle meeting last night. With one of our inner circle meetings, somebody owes one of our members some money, and I'm like, well, where's the secure? I feel like this. They did what your people did, exactly what if somebody owes some money, I'm just going to
lean the property.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think about it.
Yeah, lean the property. That's what you do. And so my question for Chris was, hey man, what does a lien do to your credit? What does it do to your ability to get loans? What do you do? No. And it doesn't do any of that stuff. So for me, I'm like, okay, then I really actually, I don't care, because I'm not selling the properties. And so they'll just get knocked out at the end. So, but that being said, I want everybody to feel this story as, I let it go too long. I didn't follow. Felt the gut. I felt the gut earlier, but that last meeting, it had gotten so bad. I say I followed. Make it sound really. Bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry about that, brother.
No, you're good. I followed my gut. I made it sound like, it was really, I was listening to my intuition. Well, it was so clear at that point. I didn't have to listen to nothing. I could look at the report and see I should have leave. And so, but my gut told me months before, when you're running real estate, you'll get your gut feelings around contractors you should or shouldn't work with,
Tenants.
coaches, internet people you should or should not follow. No doubt you're here because you listen to Chris's videos. You're like, I kind of like this guy. He makes sense. He's just no BS. It's just like, cool. Like, I like, you'll get a gut about some people. I've listened to some people online. I'm just like, I kind of feel like I need to take a shower afterwards. I'm good. You feel that. It's the same with property managers. Like, I can tell you all the questions to ask in an interview to really see if a property manager is good, but I cannot teach you anything more powerful than when you meet with one. What does your gut say?
Wow.
And that is, and I can't tell you, like, property managers, if you want to grow, are one of the big things of freedom in multifamily real estate. If you're doing like Chris does, lease options, he has a great system where you don't even really need property management, which is sweet. But multifamily, we have bigger,
you can't
more,
do that.
Got 100 tenants on one pad of land. I gotta have somebody that does that work. But this has been good. It's been good though, man. It's been like, what does somebody pay for a college education today? 200 grand, something like that. I feel like I got a college education for 60.
Well, my thing is, all the money, are you going to fight some of it? Because no doubt you don't owe them all of that.
Yeah. So that's what I am. I said the other day, the whole point is negotiating that number down for sure. And where I will land, I don't know, because I'm not planning on selling the property anytime soon. But if they're not going to lift that lien, I may have to pay it all anyway. I don't know. We'll see.
You could come back later, try to get some of it back if you were trying to sell it, but that's not a road you got to cross right now.
So. Yeah, for sure. But it's just really good, and I'm really glad we talked about this tonight. So as you're buying real estate and you're going down this road, know the people you work with, wholesalers, fix and flippers, your bankers, your lenders, your contractors, your coaches. It'll dictate where you go. It'll literally dictate everything. You know what I mean?
Wow, that is just a mouthful. I didn't notice that till I got older. I look around me, I'm like, man, I'm surrounded by losers, dude. I gotta.
I've heard you say that before. I didn't know you back then, but it changes everything, doesn't it?
I had a friend used to say that. He's like, Chris, I'm surrounded by losers, man. He said it all the time. I didn't understand, but then I started hanging out with Patrick Bet-Davids, and I'm like, oh my God. I had no idea that you could literally hang around and energize a bunny, and some of that energy will rub off on you. It's like your rub, and I'm hoping I rub off night and day.
Yep.
So you, I'm getting a couple questions. Did you hire this company, Mike, or were they grandfathered in when you purchased all this?
Yeah. So they were managing them when I got the property. Yeah.
Did you talk to the owner? And
and they seemed real good. And the previous guy, and a lot of it just had to do with they couldn't. So here's one thing I learned. They managed 300 units, which sounds like a lot. But when I brought them 50, that's more than 10% of their business. And that's more than 10% at one moment. Right. So that was too much, right? Because they just took on our units when I was buying the property by the previous owner. Because the previous owner did all his own management, but right before he sold it to me, he figured it'd be really good if management team was already in place. It'll make it more valuable for the next buyer.
That's true.
And he was right. It was great thinking on his part. It was really good thinking. But when he did that, he put 30 or 50 units on a manager that was managing 300, and that was a big hit to their system, and they were trying to figure it out. And so I think that it was a little bit too much for them. So if you are bringing a lot of units to one person at a time, you want to make sure the ratio is good. But most of you, if you're doing 1 to 2 to 3 units, you don't need to worry about that issue. But that was one thing that tripped me up.
Gotcha. So you're moving on here. I'm just trying to envision. So the money that you lost, Mike, is that just, I'm presuming you're out in the front taking the bullets and the arrows where you're the active, what do you call it, the managing partner?
Yeah. So this one, I don't have any investors in.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm 100% by myself, which in some ways is good. I don't really make money at play. In some ways it's really good. And if I wanted to, because I own these 100% myself, I could probably bring in a silent investor that could kick this 60 grand out, and own a piece of the deal, I could probably do that, or a lender, I could probably do that for sure.
Yeah.
And so that's an option. If I didn't want to use my own capital and I said, you know what, I don't want to tie that up, that's an option for sure.
Gotcha. I might be interested. I've been meaning to talk to you. I got a guy. I want everybody to know I'm making it public. I have my first lease option exercising this week.
Oh, you actually have an exit, like an actual one coming to fruition?
I never been mad. I never been so concerned and uneventful about making $90,000. I'm like, it's the first time in my life I do not want 90. I can't believe I'm even saying these words. I'm like, I don't want the money. I'd rather have the cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true, dude. You get to a point, like even I'm getting to this point where equity, what's the point? Either cash or equity. I'd rather have cash flow.
Cash
Right?
flow.
Flow
Cash
rather than
flow.
cash. Equity. I mean, especially equity, because you have a bunch of equity, great, but you can't pay your bills with equity.
That stuff disappearing now too every
Yeah,
day.
exactly. Yeah, as interest rates go up, your equity goes down anyway. That's exactly right. What do we got here?
TMR group. I'm about to fire a property man.
Yeah,
Golly.
man, so many people. Somebody else said that on here tonight. Who else
You're
said
right.
that?
Somebody did say that, right?
John No said that. Yeah, there we go.
I think this is happening. Hey, I had another client that fired. He did his deal, Mike, was they would say they were doing the repairs, but they would because
They wouldn't do it.
they didn't do them. But tell my roundup homies that don't understand, how does the cash flow with the property managers? Explain how it flows from tenant to them to you and all.
Yeah. So what happens with a property manager is they go and collect all your rent. Then they pay all your bills. Then they give you the remaining check. Now,
What bills? What you talking about,
yeah,
Mike?
that's what I'm about to say. Bills
Okay.
being if you have a mortgage on it, if you have a bank, they'll pay the mortgage, they'll pay the insurance, the taxes, any utilities, repairs. If you have somebody mowing the lawn, you name it. All those are all the bills. So they'll take all the rent in, they'll pay all those bills, and then there's hopefully, if it's done well, there's money left over, and then they deposit that into your account. And so if it's done well in a quote unquote perfect world,
They could be a bill. They could be one of the bills could be them.
well, one of the bills is always them. And so on your report every month, one of the things they take out before they deposit is their management fees. So yes, it could be, it absolutely is every month. One of the bills is them.
Well, I know that is them. I'm talking about a repair. Shit, they could just.
Oh, absolutely.
Just $100 here, doorknob, lights. It's just.
So a lot of people think property managers make their money on the 6, 8, 10% they charge you.
Oh no, yeah.
They make their money on their maintenance. So they have a maintenance guy that they pay $21 an hour and they charge you $55. That's where they make their money. So every time a faucet's leaking, they're like, "Yeah, baby," and you're like, "Are you kidding me?" And so yeah, that's where they make their real money is on that. And they may have a guy who mows lawns and they'll charge you for that. And a guy that runs out and changes the filters in your furnace, they'll charge you for that. And
everything,
all those little things, which is why, by the way, total side note, which is why property management companies are so valuable, because there are so many different ways to make money inside of that business model. By the way, total side note, you can sell a property manager. If you net $100,000 a year, you can sell that business for 5 times what you make in a year. That's how valuable they are. Sell for $500,000 if you make $100,000 in a year, because you can make money so many different ways. So it's a valuable company to have if you're running it well.
That's so cool. So the thing you would do different, you're a look in the mirror type of guy, So you're saying you let your foot off of the. Did you do that, Mike? Because it's just you and you were paying attention to other. I'm just trying to figure out that ain't like you.
So I'll tell you a quick tip about Mike. My genius lives in acquisitions. It does not live in management.
The management is so boring.
In managing the managers or managing the properties, whether I'm managing property managers or properties themselves, which I don't manage properties anymore, but I got 3 or 4 managers. That's not my cup of tea. It's just not my skill set. My skill set is acquisitions, finding deals, finding money. That's what I do really well. When I can stay there, things are great. But when I have to step over so one of the reasons I left my foot off the gas is we always tend to gravitate towards what we love. Well, I love acquisitions and deals and finding the next one. And I was focused there and I wasn't focused on what I had, and it cost me.
are you going to put somebody in place to do that? I mean, can you just?
Yeah, well, I hired the new property management company. I won't. So the new property management company that I took over this, and I'm not making this up. This you'll see it on my Facebook in the next probably 35 to 45 days. You'll see this post, and it'll prove it. So the property management we moved over to, they're excellent. Like they are so good. One of the best ones I've ever seen. Actually, their systems and they're doing so good. Guess what? First 3 months I've been with them, I made money every single month. It's absolutely insane.
Wow.
And so, but the guy is looking to move on, and so he actually called me and he said, "Hey, do you want to buy the company?" And so he is actually offering. I'm actually buying that property management company, and I'm placing a leader there. So now I'm
Wow.
going to control all the management, and I'm never going to have to make this mistake again. That's not what I encourage everybody to do. Don't do that. But I'm saying that
Yeah.
you'll see the post later on. But that's what I did, Chris, because you asked me enough questions to get me to where I almost had to answer that. But we really want to control that management piece. And so that's what we're doing. But for everybody here, the first thing you got to do is you got to see how many units are they managing. You got to see, can they handle another property? Can they do well? Are there other owners making money? What do they do? Ask them, what do they charge for repairs? Make sure it's what they're charging you. Have you ever used property managers, Chris? You do all your own stuff.
One time, and when I saw the rent came in 1,000, and I saw all these fees,
You're like, screw
I'm
this.
like, I got $300 here, and,
It's like,
and
I
there
can do
is
that for
no.
$300.
I'm like, there's no talking about this stuff. It's
Yeah.
just you get
Just
a piece of paper and a check for
yeah.
$300. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, I just like.
You cracking me up. He says absolutely not.
I mean,
Absolutely.
is it how it works? They
Yeah,
item it
no, it
out
is.
and they send you a check, and it's like
Yeah, it is.
there's no talking.
No. There is no talking. But I will tell you what though, you backed up to your question, Chris. I made the mistake when I let my foot off the gas. You're 100% right.
That's one.
I wasn't paying attention to my own money and my own property, and therefore look
That's
what happened.
big.
I was shiny object syndrome, which I'm sure some of you've gotten that before. I got shiny object syndrome. And so, especially if you're in real estate, because there's so many ways to do real estate, you can bounce around. Yeah. I remember I went to a conference and somebody said something about subject to one of the first time. I'm like, oh, I need to be a subject to guy. And then, oh, I need to be a fix and flip. And then a wholesale. Well, you do that enough, and all of a sudden you have a property manager that you owe a bunch of money to. So you want to stay focused and make sure you're really paying attention to what's going on. And because my wife and I were talking about this the other day, and she said, "Hun, the best thing that you can realize right now is this is 100% your fault." And
I
she's
love that.
100% right. It's 100% my fault, because now if it's 100% my fault, that's the only person I can change.
I
And
love it.
so I'm like, it's my fault, man. I screwed up. It
I
wasn't
think a
them.
lot of us are looking for, including I was watching Kanye West. Yeah, he's hot in the news right now, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I heard he's got billions. He's like, you know what, man? I have to watch every dollar. I'm like, you do billions. Now I'm listening to you. I feel like we're all looking for this nebulous blob in the way out there in the headlights where we can actually sit back and let the system run. I just don't know if that ever exists, Mike.
It doesn't. I was listening to Alex Hermosi, who's big online right now. If you haven't heard of him, he's a really big business trainer. He said the other day, there is no such thing as passive income.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
There is a such thing as more passive income, but there is no such thing as passive income. And I think that's a really good thing for us, Chris, especially because Chris and I teach real estate income all the time, right? And there is more passive
More
income.
passive.
Passive doesn't mean non-existent. It doesn't mean you never have to do it, work it, check it. And I think that sometimes in our space, Chris, I think that gets mistaught and misunderstood. Don't you think?
Yeah, man, it's sobering because I thought when I first started out, I would put tenant, collect rent, right off in the sunset, and just it doesn't. I'm probably the closest doing seller financing and lease options. I'm close to it, but there is nothing that's just hands off, man.
Yeah.
Get questions in. I'm letting Mike get out of here. It's getting late. Chris, got 16 doors. I couldn't imagine paying for something I have The skills to okay, he's doing his own repairs. No
Yeah,
more
there you go.
sewers, but I get his hand. Okay, Mike, you doing repairs?
I still get my hands dirty. No, 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 and that's but
Honor,
again,
brother.
but again, I don't enjoy it, and so if you enjoy it and you like doing it, do it, man. That's awesome. I
You save a lot
personally,
of money.
not my thing. Yeah, you can save a lot of money that way, absolutely. But I found that the money that I save on repairs, if I was to pay somebody to do that, I would earn by working on finding deals and finding money. So I try to stay where I'm good. If you're good there, that's awesome. Leverage that, brother. For
That's
me,
a
I'm
good
not.
point. Yeah, I
You know,
suck. Don't I
yeah,
can't do nothing. I
yeah.
don't. I
That's the
don't.
thing. I mean, I used to. I'm not a repair guy. I used to build houses, but I'm not a repair guy. Like going to fix a little furnace, and I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So I hire people to do it because I don't know how to do it,
They
and I'm
get you
not.
in trouble.
Yep, you got that, bro.
David, put you put. Hey, is it best to put yourself or your LLC as beneficiary? We always use LLC, brother. First Lady J, I want to buy a new build. Mike helped me with. Thank you, Mike. You helped me with mine too. You know what, Mike? Every day I walk into my house and I'm in this big ass garage that's 23 feet wide. You remember when I first asked you? I'm like, the dude made my garage 19 feet. What you're like?
I just know you drive and you and your wife drive SUVs. I'm like, dude, SUVs, you ain't gonna be able to fit. Your kids are gonna bang those doors against each other if you guys are in there in a 23-foot garage. I just heard you and I'm like, no.
Thank you for that. Now I'm looking at my garage like, oh my god. So because I need space for storage too.
Oh yeah, you got stuff, man. Absolutely.
Should I buy my house under land trust? Yes. And who loans me the money under land trust? Probably can't borrow money. So I'm gonna tell you what we had to do. We obviously I bought my land in the land trust, but I had to put it in our name to get the loan, but we just switch it right back. So don't it's no big deal. Just you can change title anytime. All right, Mike, this is cool. What are you going to think of? How are we going to be able to offer your multifamily
Yep.
training? Not tonight, but I mean for
Yeah. Yeah,
my
we'll chat about it this week for sure. Yeah, throughout Chris's week of amazing stuff he's got going on in the next week. We'll talk about some multifamily. If you as where the market's going, multifamily is going to be something you want to at least
oh
know
man,
about. You really want to
yeah.
know about. Yeah.
What happens to rents when interest rates go up, Mike?
So think about this. So interest rates go up, less people buy. What does that mean they do?
Rent
They rent. And when you have more renters, what do you have? You have more demand. What does demand move?
it's
Demand drives price.
crazy.
And so now, yeah, it just keeps driving up price. And so for our job is to buy those properties and make sure they're safe and tenants can grow inside them and make good communities. And so we love multifamily. Plus, I love the fact that when one person doesn't move out, when one person moves out, I still have people in there paying my bills.
Yeah, that's
You know
true.
what I mean? I like that. I like the fact that, one person, it's not 100% vacant or occupied. And if you're into single family rentals, I'm not knocking single families. I got some of those too, but I do like the multifamily game because of some of the things we call forced appreciation, where you get to dictate how much it appreciates. And we'll talk about that when Chris and I talk about multifamily stuff.
Yeah, you guys, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, and there's a link in the video description so you can make sure you're on our email list. You got to be on the email list because I'm only on YouTube a tenth of the time, but I'm always communicating with my roundup homies on my email list. So you don't miss any of the training. We got multifamily, Airbnb. You don't even have to own a property. Instagram training for real estate guys, and a dude is going to show you how to wholesale with other wholesalers, co-wholesaling, so you don't even have to go find a property.
Yeah.
Mike Fritz, thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Absolutely, my friend. That's all of you, don't be scared to hire a bad property manager. It's probably going to happen. Can I just tell
It's
you,
gonna happen, right?
it's going to happen, man. It's going
It's
to
like
happen.
the bad girlfriend. I mean, you
You're
gotta
going
you
to
can't
have
you're
one.
gonna
You got to have one. Yeah.
I'll say the crazy girlfriend maybe. Reread your question. Hold up. Oh, I want to buy a new build home for myself. Okay. Do I need a realtor? Yes. You can find a new build. All builders are listing with a realtor. Is that true, Mike?
Yeah. I guess you could have a builder that's going that maybe just goes straight to market, just use Facebook Marketplace and some
I
stuff.
ain't seen it
But if
before.
they're building at scale, they're going through a realtor. They got an agent
Yeah.
that they work with.
If I want
That
to buy my
agent's
home,
probably giving them a good deal too, because
yeah,
they're
they
doing
can.
multiple
Yeah.
homes.
If I want to buy my home under a land trust, and also, yeah, you can do it on a land trust. But if you go to, if who loans me the money? How can I buy? You can't. Yeah, you're not going to be able to borrow the money and in a land trust. You're going to have it in your name and then switch it to land trust.
Well, Chris
Oh,
asked,
she's in Arizona, Mike.
yeah, Chris asked a good question too there on
Who that? Oh,
thoughts on leveraging paid off. That's Chris and I
Mike
talk
doesn't
about
like that. Yeah,
all
Mike.
the time, man. This is a whole training.
But hold up, Mike. I'm chilling right now. When I look at, I got all my people that got out of the game in '07 and 8. All of them were over leveraged. 100% of them. So I'm just like, I don't really care what the market does. I mean, my debt is gone, and I still hit Mike. This is a good conversation that Mike and I would love to make sure y'all hear. I paid my real estate off, but I have lines of credit against everything. So I have access to the money.
That's the thing. That's what I was going to say. I don't think you have to refinance it so you're actually yanking cash out of it. You can have lines of credit, or you can partner with private money and use that as collateral or the promissory note or whatever you're using. So you can, there's ways to do that without sucking cash out of the property and actually
Gotcha.
having that. So there's ways to do that. Like Chris said, you can have a line of credit if you want to use some cash for something. But you do want, especially in higher interest rate markets,
Oh
you
man.
want to be careful with significant leverage. You just don't want to have as much leverage as,
Well, Chris, I use private lenders. So I have deed of trust lines of credit with human beings, dog.
Yes,
I
that's
have people like I just literally this week I'm borrowing 78,000 from a guy on a property that I paid off. It's a line of credit. I only use it when I need it.
yeah, that's the way to do it. Even if you can do it with a PML, private money lender, rather than a bank,
Institution.
yeah, an
Yeah.
institution, 75 million times better. So much better.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there you go. HELOC and PML. Yeah.
Okay, man. Thanks,
All
Mike.
right, man. Yeah. Thank you all so much for tonight. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks for sharing, brother. All right.